like when we first started this business, even we didn't want to take out loans. We didn't want to do any of that crazy stuff. We didn't get a credit card until we were in year 2 or late 2, early 3. When we started, we bought a used camera for like $400, tested the market, you test it, and then you move on. You don't have to go big bang shaboom out the gate. Sometimes I feel like people do that to impress other people, but you've got to build a practical, sustainable business that can go the long haul. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the podcast. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to grow our channel, and as we continue on with the podcast, we want to start new forms of content. We want to start posting our work here on YouTube. So if you want to see some of that and continue supporting the podcast, please subscribe. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Exordia Creative Podcast. It's a dreary, cold Monday today, but that does not stop the pod. Let's crack this bub. We've got orange on the menu today. Right before we kick this off, thank you to everybody that's subscribed and tuning in on Apple Podcasts. We've been getting a lot of traction on there, so thank you so much. If you want to leave a review, if you like what you're listening to, we encourage it. Can't give you any paid promotion or anything for that. Maybe we'll give you a shout out. If you give us a review, we'll shout you out on the pod.
Helps us a lot.
Yeah, it helps us a lot. YouTube subscribers are stagnant. So also, if you'd like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, you like watching this bad boy, give us a subscribe, give us a like.
I like to watch my podcasts.
Yeah, you've said that. It all depends on the circumstance for me.
True.
When you're driving, walking.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna watch a pod while I walk. But yeah, what's going on, dude?
This is the second Monday in a row. We got some vaccine news. Did you hear about the Moderna?
I heard about the Pfizer.
Right. So yeah, last Monday was the Pfizer 90% efficacy. This morning, Moderna 95% efficacy. So a little one up. Obviously, the Dow Jones, the stock market soaring as a result. One thing that we didn't find out when we were discussing the Pfizer vaccine last week was what happened with the CEO selling off some of his stake in the company. So a little timeline for you. Most people probably call the election in Biden's favor on Saturday. Super early Monday morning, Pfizer releases the news of the 90% efficacy. Monday afternoon, the CEO exercises a share sell option that he set up in August to sell about 25% of his stake in the company.
Yeah.
Later that afternoon. So obviously people are, in an uproar, or they were last week, about whether this is some kind of an insider deal and just like how bad the optics of the situation look.
Yeah, well, whenever big pharma's involved, everybody kind of puts their skeptical lens on, and they're like, all right, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Pfizer doesn't have the best history. I can't speak on Moderna. I don't know about their practices in the past. Do you know if the Moderna vaccine has to be refrigerated at negative 70-something Celsius?
I don't think this is the deep freeze one.
Okay.
It's one of the mRNA vaccines. But yeah, I think for Pfizer to do something so like surface level sketchy, they must have had like the legalities airtight, and they must have had all their ducks in a row to announce a super effective vaccine in the morning and then sell off like millions worth of shares in the afternoon. But I'm just wondering, like, why did nobody from PR say, hey, why are we doing these two things on the same day?
Yeah.
But the other side of the argument is like, this is just capitalism at its best.
Yep.
This is the man who, took the company to be able to produce a successful vaccine, at least mostly successful. Yep. So he should be allowed to exercise his option to sell. Yeah. And it turns out that somebody from the PR department had sold a major stake of theirs as well.
Wow.
It's kind of funny.
Interesting optics. Stay
tuned this afternoon when some of the Moderna executives start selling off some of their shares.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But it's super timely.
And apparently we've got a 6 to 12 month wait until it's widely distributed, I've heard.
Well,
and I've heard that Canada has like 20 million vaccines or something that they've purchased or that they have on order.
Right.
Amazon should be delivering soon.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah. Logistically, it's an interesting question. So Moderna this morning said that pending, if they get an emergency designation from the FDA, they're going to be able to start rolling them out in December. But because the addressable market is so large, there's still so much opportunity here. It's not game over for the other pharma companies just because Moderna and Pfizer are having like good early results. So many people are going to be able to get a piece of this pie if they want in on it. But yeah, like just to think about the international logistics of getting this out.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah. So I know in the U.S., the government is buying the vaccines from pharma. I would assume we're probably doing the same thing domestically, but in terms of who's paying for distribution, I don't know.
I don't know either. And like the carriers are also like the Purelators, the Amazon Prime, the DHL, all those guys. They're probably going to have to develop some sort of technology in order to ship this stuff.
Yeah,
like,
USPS
especially if
is
it's,
doing that.
If it's USPS is.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's deep freeze, they've got to like retrofit their trucks.
Right. Because a lot of them are set up to be able to carry like food grade refrigeration stuff and like somewhat cold. But yeah, this is like a totally different level. So it's going to be expensive to distribute if we find that the one that needs to be deep frozen is the one that is the most effective or that needs to get out.
Yeah. And cases are continuing to rise.
Yeah, I know. Friday, I don't have the Canadian numbers, but Friday the U.S. was at 10.5 million, and we cracked 11 million on Monday morning.
In the U.S.
Yeah, a cool half a million.
Total active cases or total cases?
Total cases.
Total cases.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
was gonna say
you better pray that's not active. But yeah, 500,000 over the weekend is like the most monumental increase.
It's insane.
That they've seen.
Even in Toronto and stuff, pulling 1,500 numbers a day.
Yeah.
So it's getting a little spooky.
I know you were telling me before about this new color grading system, which I haven't heard of yet.
You know what? Just to be accurate, I'm going to describe exactly what it is because I don't want to get this wrong.
Okay. So is this to replace the current phase system?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I believe we're in phase 3 in Chatham, right?
Color code. I believe we're back in 2. Color code Ontario. Let's see here. Ontario launches new color-coded system for COVID restrictions. What is it? Come on, I just want the list. Okay, here we go, everybody. Just waiting for the Toronto.com to load. Okay, green means prevent. So what it is. So let's just get with the colors here. Green, yellow, orange, red. Gray, lockdown. So we'll start off with green. So the green level, also known as the prevent level, will put a health unit into a state similar to the former stage 3, with loosened restrictions and only certain high-risk locations remaining closed. Yellow, protect. Yellow or protect level means health units will see increased measures and guidelines for businesses or organizations that are open. Windsor is in yellow right now. Orange, restrict. Health units at the orange or restrict level will see restrictions enhanced further from the protect level. Red. Red or control level means a return to modified stage 2 with further restrictions and the closure of some businesses or organizations. So I think you're right. I think we are stage 3 then.
So it just seems like a more nuanced differentiation.
And I wish they weren't changing the shit right now because everybody's just kind of getting comfortable with it, what the numbering system was, and now we've got colors. So and then gray is locked down. At this level, health units would return to a modified stage 1 and declaration of emergency will be considered.
Right. So is this just to make the phases more digestible to the general public?
I guess.
Maybe colors is a little easier to wrap your head around.
Maybe. And they provided this nice little diagram.
Gotcha. So is anybody in gray right now in Canada?
I don't know.
Would Toronto be a red?
I don't know. I have no clue. But those are the new colors. We're in green right now here in Chatham-Kent. Right. Windsor's in yellow. I don't know. The cases are continuing to rise. I've witnessed a few stores that have closed down because they're deep cleaning or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that means they had a positive case within the workplace.
Yeah, it's getting a little closer to home. We're hearing some confirmation that there's some positive cases in some chain restaurants and local businesses and stuff like that.
Yeah, just detrimental.
Yeah, it's certainly getting a little bit more alarming. But yeah, we were having a kind of heart-to-heart talk before we started recording about what this is going to mean for us and for our business, for our community. If we're going to kind of revert back to a situation similar to what happened in March, if this is going to be different.
We don't know.
You know, there are so many variables, and this reminds me of March in the sense that, you know, every day there's a new update that could like fundamentally change the way that the government's going to go about handling this situation. And, you know, no business likes uncertainty, right? Because it's hard to project ahead. And
yeah. But the vaccines are good news.
Certainly, yeah.
Like at the end of the day, with the vaccines being released and stuff, we know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We know that eventually, maybe it's a year from now, maybe it's, who knows, maybe it's 18 months from now, everybody will be, I don't know if everybody's going to get vaccinated. I don't know if it's going to be mandatory, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel for people. So weather the storm and dance while the music's on.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, proving some degree of efficacy in the vaccine is just one small component of making this work and getting it to the people who need it.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to be regulated. It needs to be paid for. It needs to be distributed. You need to convince people who you've bent over backwards to produce this thing that they should take it, because some people say, oh, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
And whenever you ask people, they say, well, I don't know, but I'm not going to be the first one in line. So who's going to be the first one in line?
Right.
I imagine it's probably going to be the elderly and the most at risk.
Yeah.
That are going to get it. The nursing homes and stuff will get it before anybody else, but crazy.
Definitely.
It's word of the year.
Yeah, no, I'm at a loss for words. You could look at like the Google trend of Google searches for the words like pandemic and coronavirus and lockdown.
Yeah.
Really crazy time.
And just to go back, and there's a few people that I follow in the U.S. that have been talking about this, but just the utter control that some of the states have like put onto people, like to lock down and stuff. It's actually a little crazy, because I believe that every human has the right to do whatever they want under law, obviously. Like what's currently the law.
What are some of the restrictions like?
Well, like some of them are insane, dude. Like in California and stuff, they're very restricted. A lot of businesses still can't open. They're still closed down.
Yeah.
And I think that at some point, like, you are your own person. You can make your own choices. But then it comes in then the idea that you could be putting other people at risk. And that's I don't know, man. I am so confused on this whole issue. And I'm honestly just tired of it.
Yeah. And just like you said about how people are just getting comfortable with the phases.
Yeah.
And
Why
now
are
we're
we
reverting
switching
to the
them?
color thing.
Yeah. So, And you feel bad for all the businesses that have closed too. I mean, there's a lot of businesses opening as well, which is good, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I am curious what color Toronto's in right now. So I'm going to pull that up. Do. Guess what color Toronto's in the comments.
So if gray is locked down, and even red is only some variation of phase 2, I'm going to go ahead and say it's red.
You're going to say it's red?
I mean, red sounds very extreme, but a modified version of phase 2 sounds a little
This is 6
more
days
reasonable.
ago. This is 6 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So this isn't actually even that recent. Peel is in yellow. Ottawa, York, Peel, and Toronto as of 6 days ago. Oh, sorry. Ottawa is in the orange category. York is in yellow. Peel is in red. And Toronto is still in modified stage 2. So they're not even giving them a color. Anyway.
Yeah. Very different situation across different municipalities and
yeah. But the thing is, our population is so small that we had the highest count per population in like April or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, because we have a smaller population. So.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
It seems like when these things happen, it like accelerates certain trends and what's going on in the market. For better or worse, you know, like if you're over leveraged and if your business hasn't been doing great and you're hanging on by a thread, this is really going to be a stress test for you.
It's the last trigger. It's the last bullet.
Yeah, for sure. Like we even know personally of some businesses locally that had to shut down permanently because this was just, like you said, the last bullet.
Yeah.
That they couldn't sustain anymore. Whereas,
yeah, that's why you gotta live within your means.
Yeah.
You've gotta make smart financial decisions. You know, I like when we first started this business. Even we didn't want to take out loans. We didn't want to do any of that crazy stuff. We didn't get a credit card until we were in year 2 or late 2, early 3. When we started, we bought a used camera for like $400, tested the market, you test it, and then you move on. You don't have to go big bang shaboom out the gate. Sometimes I feel like people do that to impress other people, but you've got to build a practical, sustainable business that can go the long haul.
I think we were talking about this on an earlier episode, and one of the things that really stands out to me about leveraging your business like to an extreme degree is it takes a toll on your mental health. Right, to have
even your personal finances, man.
Anything. But just knowing that you have that weight on your shoulders.
Yeah.
It's like a little ball and chain wherever you go. And obviously, there's some situations where it'd be ideal to take on debt, and we're in like a zero rate environment right now. The government is begging you to leverage yourself and to take out loans and stuff. So I certainly see the temptation, but there's just nothing more liberating and like good for your peace of mind, in my opinion, than having a clean slate.
Yeah.
And knowing that you don't owe money.
Yeah. And
just being able to make decisions based on your future best interest instead of always playing catch up.
Yeah. Now, I can't say I've always had this mentality because I do have student loans still.
Yeah.
And those will be paid off next spring, which I'm very excited about. And that will be a very liberating
That's
feeling.
huge.
Because it's been hanging over my head.
Yeah.
So.
But that kind of experience just shows you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it really gives you that sense of how much better it's going to feel to not have that weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Obviously, debt makes the world go around. Like money is debt. And sometimes, debt is not only necessary, but it can be a good strategic business.
And I don't want to say that Exordia will never take on debt and we're anti-debt and stuff like that, but just given where we're at and all, like we can grow organically just fine right now.
For sure.
So
yeah.
Just for the smaller shops and the smaller businesses and stuff that think they need to take out a line or whatever, just make do with what you've got. Just weather this and get through it.
Let your demand justify
exactly
what you're going to spend.
Our recent acquisition of a drone.
Yeah, we did get a drone.
We can talk about
Not
that.
in yet. Yeah,
should be here
tell
on
us
Wednesday.
about this.
Should be here on Wednesday. So, I like drones to supplement video. I don't like drone videos by themselves. Some people like to watch drone videos. I think that drones serve a really great purpose.
Crispy B-roll.
Yeah, great B-roll. They add establishing shots and things like that. More and more people are using drone stuff, so I wanted to test the market. I didn't want to go full hog, so to speak, and spend $1,000 to get my license and do all that kind of stuff, and then on top buy a $3,000 drone. So DJI released a Mavic Mini 2, which shoots 4K at 30 frames per second. Pretty impressive. Could be used for commercial stuff. I've looked at some of the footage. It looks great. So we're going to test the market. So that's an ideal example. Instead of spending $3,000, we spent $800.
Yeah.
And we're going to see how it goes.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I don't know much about the drone.
Yeah.
You give me the seal of approval, so as far as I'm concerned, it's good enough for us.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I mean, we've already got, I actually haven't told you this, but I've been just like looking for people that have been looking for that kind of stuff. We've got a few jobs already lined up with the drone. It's going to pay itself off quick. So that's just a small example.
Yeah.
You don't have to go all out right out the gate. If we wanted to, we could get a line and I could go buy a Red Cinema camera for $60,000 and blah, blah, blah. But the demand isn't there for 8K video in Chatham, Kent right now.
Right.
So.
You know who's going to notice the tiny nuances and better production value? The videographer is going to notice.
The editor, yeah.
The end customer isn't going to care half as much as the person, who's devoted to this and who's interested in it and does it as a hobby or for a profession.
Yeah. You say that to me a lot. You say like when I show you like, did you know blah blah blah? Because only I'm looking at those small details when I'm shooting and trying to get like It's interesting.
I'm like, if the production goes from like an 8.3 out of 10 to an 8.4 out of 10,
yeah.
I'm like, it's an 8 to me.
Yeah, there's a line.
You know?
There's a line of the money you spend versus production value.
100%.
There's some sort of, anyway, I've seen it online before.
Yeah.
So
There are like a couple major steps.
Yeah.
You know, like major changes that are really going to up your production value.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is not paid. A lot of it is learning to storyboard properly, or learning to write an amazing script.
Yep.
Or learning to plan a video, or learning to, you know, sequence your shots properly.
Yeah.
Things that require more time than they do money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like anything else, really.
Yeah.
Buying the most expensive camera isn't going to make you the best videographer.
Yeah, I've watched videos on that. 60,000 camera versus a $200 camera, and the guy with the $200 camera did way better than the guy with a $60,000.
For sure.
Right? It's all about the shots, the angles, and blah blah blah.
Definitely.
So, yeah. Anyway, guys, little segue there.
Mm-hmm.
COVID sucks.
Yeah.
And that's,
I know.
Yeah.
I know consumer saving rates peaked in April in the United States, right at like peak pandemonium, up to almost 30%.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of the fiscal policy stuff and the $1,200 that the U.S. residents were getting and all that stuff. And I think it's a lot lower now. But saving rates are still a lot higher than they were pre-pandemic.
Well, that's good.
So people are still exercising some degree of caution, but definitely less so than April. And we were the same when news of the pandemic first started getting pretty serious around like mid to late March. We went into complete survival mode as a business. Yep. Like we were like drastically cutting our expenses and saving as much money as possible, and then we slowly kind of became less like apocalyptic about it. Yeah. Over the months.
It was quite apocalyptic for a little while.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But the peace of mind that brought us, in my opinion, was priceless.
Yeah.
Just to know that you're going to be able to sleep well at night and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys might have saw our Instagram post. Shout out to Tech Savvy. Last week we were out on site with them.
Right.
They were drilling underneath of the Thames River to bring fiber optic internet to the north side of Chatham, and they wanted that story told. They reached out to us. We said, let's flip and do it. So we're working on that video. Going to be ready for Sunday.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Cool.
That'll be fun. Would love to continue to work with Tech Savvy. They're a great big business here in town. I think they're classified as a big business. They got like over 600 employees.
Yeah, big enough. For sure.
So,
speaking of telecom and whatnot, you told me just before we started recording that you're thinking about getting a flip phone.
Classic Quentin, going from one extreme to another. Hello. Yeah, maybe, but then you and I talked about notifications shutting off, and I do have some of my notifications shut off. Like I don't get every single notification from Facebook and all that. Yeah, you had told me that the notification system that you use works really well.
I think you have to be offensive about it.
Yeah, so maybe
yourself.
Before I make that drastic ass jump,
yeah,
maybe that's what I consider is maybe shutting down the noties for a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
This is something that's being discussed a lot more in like mainstream media now than perhaps 5 years ago, thanks to the Social Dilemma movie and some more research and more questioning of social media networks like Facebook and manufacturers like Apple. I think it's now more in the public sphere to discuss like some of the ethical issues of social media and using your phone. But I think especially for people like us who live and work on social media apps like Facebook and Instagram, you have to be defensive about the way that you use the apps, because it's so easy to let them consume more time than they should.
Yeah. You told me like you make a plan when you go on Instagram.
I
tried
to.
Yeah, before you open the app, you're like, okay, here's what we have to do.
No, seriously.
I know, and I think I'm not discrediting that. I think that's a great idea.
Right. And for example, like we have access to, you know, a couple dozen Instagram accounts, for example, and they A/B test different things like different button placements and different use of the algorithm. So for example, on some of the new accounts, where the like button traditionally was on Instagram is now a shopping button.
Mm-hmm.
So that muscle memory that you use to check your notifications has been replaced.
Yeah, they put it up at the top.
Yeah, another example would be the Explore page being switched to IG videos.
The Reels.
IGTV. Yeah, and Reels. Yeah. And it's just interesting to see how they test all these different placements, all these different app designs for the stickiest, most like compelling experience.
Yeah.
Whatever one is going to keep you there the longest and have you open the app the most times.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I did like a clean sweep through my notifications and, turned a lot of stuff off, changed the way that my phone can alert me, because like, before I was just such a slave to reading notifications and checking everything. Yeah, we all are for sure. Even if you don't have to use Instagram to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chances are
that's
like,
worse.
Chances are you probably have had an experience where you spent more time on your phone than you wanted to.
100%. I'm trying to get my screen time down all the time.
Yeah.
I average like 3 hours a day, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
And sure, you can say some of that might be YouTube watching a video while you're working, whatever it is.
Right.
But that's a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what just my phone is. Mine is combined, so I see my total for Mac and iPhone.
Oh, that's mine too, I think.
Okay.
But my screen's definitely on longer than 3 hours a day here.
Yeah.
I don't know. But maybe it is just my phone. But
I think it's important to be deliberate about that stuff, though.
Yeah. Like if I could do 1 hour a day, whew, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even... My workload is probably... I don't know. It's so hard to quantify because like it's so easy to waste time when you're online.
It is, dude. You get trapped.
Like
I try to do that deliberate plan thing, and the next thing I know, I'm looking through Reels, and I'm like, "What the heck am I doing here?"
I get it for sure. Notifications is just one way you can take back a little bit more of your agency, but even still, like navigating those algorithms can be tough.
Yeah. So I'm not going to switch to a flip phone yet, but if this notification thing doesn't help, we'll have to see what's up.
Yeah, I've been using Do Not Disturb a lot.
Yep.
That's another big one. Like if you actually use your phone to work.
It's that fine line, right?
It can be really tough.
But I don't use my phone as much to work as you do.
No.
I use my laptop more, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, at least a lot of your productivity is spent like out and about.
Yeah.
Meeting people, holding a camera, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely hard to navigate right now.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the new Mac OS came out. Did you download it?
Big
Sur.
Yeah, I got it.
You did download it.
Yes. Have you heard about the new processors? The M series.
Yes. Bye Intel.
Oh man.
Dude. I've updated it on my wife's computer.
Okay.
And I've updated it on my parents' computer, and now I need to update it on mine. I haven't had the luxury yet.
No.
But like I've cruised around it on Sarah's, and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Even though she has like an ancient Air, so it doesn't look as crisp as.
But still.
Yeah.
It's a good. You really start to see the trend of convergence between iOS and macOS.
Oh man.
And how they're becoming more similar.
Yeah, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the new design. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I've just got to clear storage off my computer. I'm always have full.
It's really cool. I was telling you before, I've got a pretty strong thesis for why I think Apple is a great company to invest in right now, and that's a key reason. Is because last week they announced their new M1 processor, which is going to be the new processor in the laptops, the computers, and a lot of their kind of like casual user computing devices. And it's really interesting for a few reasons. So typically Apple, like most of the other like personal computing industry, they outsource their chip design to Intel. And Intel has had a monopoly in chips for 4 decades now. So they've had quite an established presence in the industry. Apple has always made their own chips for their iOS devices. So they have A-series chips in their iPhones and iPads. Like I think A14 might be the latest one.
Yep.
But what this new chip represents is not only is it lighter, more efficient, faster, and cheaper for them to produce, not only does it lessen their dependency on an outside company being Intel, but it makes it easier for content and for programs to be used between your computer and your laptop, which has a number of cool implications. Like from a UI perspective, from a user interface perspective, things are more seamless. Like people talk about the Mac ecosystem, and how a Mac is a great computer, but it's extra great if you have an iPhone as well.
Yeah.
And the more devices
and
that
the
you
watch
have,
and the iPad and
for sure. Like I love my Alexa, for example, but I can't wait to get a HomePod because I don't want to subscribe to Amazon Music. I've already got an Apple Music subscription.
Yeah.
So I'd like to be able to seamlessly ask Siri to play things.
Dude, I follow one of those tech YouTubers, MKBHD.
Yeah.
And he put this video on his Instagram, and he walked his phone over to his HomePod, and then a thing popped up and asked if he wanted to play it right there.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Kind of like if you open up your AirPods case, it'll show you the battery life.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from a personal perspective, you have a lot to gain because it's more seamless and the experiences are richer and whatnot. But what's really interesting is from a development market. An interesting statistic that I learned is 70% of the addressable personal computing market, or the addressable computer market, is smartphones. So it's about 70% smartphones, 20% desktops and PCs, 10% cloud computing. So if I'm a developer, I want to go to the largest addressable market where I could potentially stand to make the most money. And at the present moment, it's smartphones. But if all of a sudden the programs and the software that I develop can now be easily shared with Mac users, which is a less attractive market from a development perspective because there's less money to be made in it. But now as a Mac user, I stand to get access to all these new programs and this influx of new developers coming in and making more stuff because it's now more interchangeable between phone and Mac.
Yeah, it's great.
So they've essentially like blown up the addressable market for all these software applications on Mac.
Yeah,
which is good for the users. It's good for the developers. It's good for Apple, obviously.
Yep.
So I think that's really cool for a number of reasons, and they're able to do things cheaper and faster as well.
Yeah, shout out to Apple. Yeah, that was a big announcement. That was crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, the cinematography for the event was nuts. So cool.
I actually didn't watch the event.
I just watched little bits of it. It was really cool.
There's always some kind of magic about the way that they announce events.
Yeah.
Like thinking back to that original iPhone announcement. Really cool stuff. But yeah, I think that's a really compelling case for Apple getting a better market share, because not only are PCs only 20% of the computer market, but Apple does not have a dominant share.
No.
I don't know what it is, but it's much less than 50% of the PC market.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if they're able to kind of conglomerate all these platforms from which you can access those kind of software and programs, I think it's a win-win situation.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, so I still haven't totally taken all my stuff from my parents' house. And so I was out there.
Right.
I was out there, and I have a shoebox that I had there with an original iPod Nano.
Wow.
The third, maybe it was the third or the second edition Nano that was square and that you could watch video on.
Yep.
Have an original iPod Touch.
That's cool.
And another one. But yeah, I found them. I brought them. I'm like, I want to keep those. I'm like, I don't know if they all work. I don't know what but that's cool.
I remember those Nanos.
Yeah. The square ones?
No. The first
or like
one.
the original. Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the first devices where they started doing that glossy white kind of design language.
Yeah.
And that was so cool. Like the stainless steel back.
Yeah.
It was so much smaller than the original iPod. It introduced the wheel.
Yes.
Which, we talked today about like home buttons and all these other proprietary Apple things. But the iPod wheel was like a signature piece of their design language.
Yeah. It was so cool.
You could adjust the volume or scrub through the track just by spinning your thumb.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I forgot about the wheel.
So I was pretty happy to see that. I was pretty pumped to find those.
Yeah. I've got an iPhone 4 that I'd take out just to look at sometimes and play with.
I saw one in Valley Village.
Really?
For $15. It was broken.
That'd be a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. It shows up on my iCloud. You have like
does? Jared's iPhone 4?
Yeah, a little list of all your devices, like your Mac and AirPods and whatever.
Yeah.
I've got my iPhone 4 on there.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm extremely bullish about Apple these days for that reason. Another one is the more I think about it, the more I think that Apple might be arguably the single biggest beneficiary of a Biden administration. Because when we look at when we look at like the implications of a Trump presidency and a Biden presidency on trade relations, I think that having Biden is going to be a lot better for like Beijing-Washington relations.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at like blue-blooded American companies that have a huge vested interest in China, I can't think of a bigger example than Apple,
Yeah.
which does all of their
That's
production,
really true.
all of their production in China.
Yeah. For now.
Right. For now.
Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah, and a lot of these big electronics manufacturers are talking about divesting and going more into India and Brazil
Mm-hmm.
and other places with low cost of manufacturing.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I think about, American companies who really benefit from having smooth relations between U.S. and China,
Yeah.
I think Apple's probably one of the number one examples.
Man, India's booming.
Mm-hmm.
The music, like all the stuff, like it pops up on my YouTube, like the Indian music videos and all that stuff. Like it's insane.
Right.
Because a lot of them are just getting onto the internet.
That's
and stuff,
exactly what it is.
and
Yeah.
there's billions of them.
Mhm.
There's billions of people in that country that are now getting access to the internet. So it's cool to watch their content come to our stuff. So
Yeah, one of the fastest developing nations for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 years ago we would talk about the BRIC nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, Korea.
Yeah.
And now we can add so many more countries. Like Vietnam is a great example. A lot more countries are getting access to the internet in crazy numbers now.
Mm-hmm.
Some countries in Africa as well. And it's really cool watching the influx into like TikTok and YouTube
Yeah.
and pop culture. I know, like, speaking of the tech savvy fiber optics, Facebook installs fiber optics in some countries in Africa to get more people access to the internet.
Yeah. So they can use Facebook.
Exactly. It's not some humanitarian initiative. It's to expand their customer base.
Yeah.
Right. It's to get more people
They do PR it as
on the juice.
as a humanitarian thing.
Get more people plugged in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's crazy. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with U.S.-China trade relations once Trump's out of the house.
Yeah. If he leaves.
Exactly.
If he leaves,
Yeah, who
stay
knows?
tuned, everybody, on
Who
the next
knows?
episode of This is America.
Yeah, seriously.
Happy to have our diffuser back in the office working.
Mhm.
We're diffusing some orange right now.
Got a nice orange scent.
And I don't know what else there is to talk about, Jared.
What
else you got cooking?
I'm just what else? Another reason why I'm very bullish on Apple right now is they released their Q3 a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
their Q3 earnings. And what's really interesting is, actually, let me start by saying this. They have two main revenue sources: products and services. Their products being the iPhone, whatnot. Their services being Apple Music and all the subscriptions. And this Q3 2020, in comparison with Q3 2019, they lost about 2 to 3% in products and services. So this was a less profitable quarter than their 2020 quarter. In terms of services.
2019 quarter?
Yeah, than their 2019 quarter. So the 2020, they were down about 3% in products and services, but they were up about 25%. I'm sorry, I'm just explaining this so poorly.
Okay.
They were down about 3% in products,
Okay.
but they way more than overcompensated by being up about 25% in services.
Yep.
Which is telling of where the industry as a whole is moving, with more subscription-based services
Mm-hmm.
and not really having true ownership of anything, and
Yep.
renting being the more profitable business model.
Yep.
So from like a consumer protection standpoint, that's a little scary. From a business and finance perspective, it's absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's a more profitable quarter for them as compared to last year because their services are better. However, this is one of the first times in history that they've had a less profitable quarter in terms of products. And that's because for the last 10 plus years, Apple has released an iPhone every Q3. Because of the coronavirus delays, the iPhones came out in November and October this year. So for the first time in, I believe, iPhone history, they had a Q3 without an iPhone release. So first of all, to think that they only lost 3% of product revenue in the first quarter they haven't released an iPhone.
It's pretty insane.
And the iPhone is definitely their most profitable product. That's insane.
Yeah.
That they were able to even somewhat, manage to maintain last year's numbers. So I think...
But it is very telling, like you're saying, that the switch to their focus on services is... Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Right. I got a new iPhone over the weekend. They gave a free year of Apple TV.
So I got that too.
They were advertising transitioning to Apple One, their new bundle service where you pay one fee for music and storage and TV and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's crazy that this is the first quarter that they haven't released an iPhone. First Q3 they haven't released an iPhone. They only lost 3%, and that tells me that Q4 is going to include their iPhones plus the new iPads they just released, plus the new M series MacBooks, which are already on sale. So that'll be perfect for the holiday rush. So I think this is going to be not only a decent Q3 given the situation, but a fantastic Q4 coming into the new year.
Yeah. Bullish on Apple, baby.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Definitely.
Have you poked around Apple TV at all?
No, I never use Apple TV.
I looked at it when Sarah got it.
What do you think?
For the free year. I think it sucks, bro.
Really? Not enough content? Or?
Well, here's the thing. You go
not
on.
Not really a show person.
I go on, and the latest season of Grey's Anatomy's out, and I'm like, cool, let's check it out. You got to pay $25.
Wait, what? I thought it was free.
No, dog. Their content is free. Apple original content is free.
Oh, okay.
You got to pay $25 to watch this BS. I'm like, forget about it.
That's misleading.
Super misleading.
Yeah.
It sucks. So my initial impression is that it sucks. I'll have to do some deeper digging.
Fair enough. They are in a position when it comes to creating original content, like Netflix has proven you can do it if you really invest in it. It's tough, but if there's any company that could afford to buy and create some serious IP, it's Apple.
Yeah.
For example, I know that they have this new health subscription where you can watch live classes with workout instructors and stuff.
Dude.
And most people are like, it's just kind of Peloton, but Apple-ified. It's not really that cool. But a company with as much cash reserve as Apple, you can expect fitness content from The Rock and Ronaldo and Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
They can get A+, A-list people on there.
Yeah.
So I think, as gargantuan as content creation can be, I think they're in a pretty decent position to create some really cool Apple original stuff. Even though I know nothing of some of the content they have out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of dumb that you have to pay for Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think they're a huge beneficiary of a Biden administration.
All right, guys. This was a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned for the next one next week.
Is the world ending?
Is the world ending?
We don't know.
Stay tuned next week. Cheers.
See ya.